Okay folks, how often does this happen to you? Unfortunately, it happens to me a decent amount. On this hole particularly, my disc likes to gravitate to this area here, which means I'm stuck back here having to throw a flex forehand around this tree and then get it to break off to the right because the basket's down the hill over there. And the problem is when you find yourself in these situations, oftentimes you really need to make a good shot because you're scrambling. Well, let's talk about it a little bit right after the intro. But before we talk about it here, let's go out to the field and talk about it there. Okay, so I really think you want to try to work on this first in the field before you get in the woods, because you want to establish a base, a consistency that you can then take into the woods. But if you start in the woods, you're hitting trees, it's frustrating, and you're not sure about watching the lines and all, I think you need to start in the open. So we're out here in my favorite little spot. Sometimes it drives me crazy, but it is convenient, and I love being out here. And so now I've got a batch of discs. Now there's a little caveat. I've got 2 Firebirds, a Fireball, a Remix Haymaker, a Pioneer, and then I've got one of these old Glow Insanities. It basically acts like a Firebird. It's supposed to be a flippier disc, and it just came out beefy. And like the Pioneer is a 9304. You're wanting something that's got a lot of fight back to it. So you're really looking at least a fade of 3, hopefully a 4. Because what you're trying to do in this scenario is you're trying to get around the initial trees out into the opening and then cut back to the right, because you're needing to get over into that area there. So you want it to be able to take that initial turn and then flip around and fight back hard back to the other way. And so you want to go with something overstable, really super overstable. Now we're not getting into the tilt range. You could, in some ways, you'd have to throw it almost vertical, but we want something super overstable. Now I've talked about this before. Let's say you don't have a Firebird or something in your bag. These are 9 speeds. Well, you can make up for it in some ways if you have a faster disc in your bag. For instance, this Halo Boss is beefy for a Boss, but especially if I'm gonna throw it not full power, it's really going to be extra beefy because I'm not getting it up to speed. There will be no chance for it to turn and all the chance for it to dump. So a lot of times I carry, if I have to choose, I'm trying to carry just a few discs. I will often leave my Firebird behind and only take my real beefy Boss, because it'll help me long drives in the wind, but also I can shape it as a utility disc in the woods because I know it's just going to dump hard. And so that's a little kind of cheat code. If you don't have a Firebird or something, or you lose it and you need to throw another shot like that, just club up to something that's stable and a faster speed, and it'll have a little more dump for you. The one caveat to it is, because of the angle and the nose, it will tend to skip and shoot out even a little bit farther. But sometimes that can be a good thing. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to get used to throwing and figure out the breaking point of these discs. And if you haven't checked out my video, I'll put a link, hopefully a card or something there. My video about the breaking point of a disc, that might be helpful. But what we're trying to figure out with these discs is, first of all, which one do we like the best? But then what angle can we put these on and still have it fight back? The key to these, the key to getting this shot down is all about nose angle. And when I talk about nose angle, it's 2 sides to it. It's both this, the up and down, and hyzer to hyzer, that type of angle, but also this type of angle, the nose up versus nose down. So what I'm trying to do before I've ever thrown a disc is I'm thinking, if this flies like I think it should, so if you check out my flight number cheat code, so if it's a 4, what that means, if I throw it flat, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to want to drop like this. So for me to get it to go flat, I'm gonna have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wanted at least that to straighten it out and before it cuts back this way. So now I know that I need to at least be releasing about like that. Does that make sense? But I also need to make sure that I'm not, my tendency is I get excited and I throw and I tend to lift up and I get nose up. And what it does is that climbs a hill, it goes even slower, and that means it crashes off harder. So I need to make sure that I not only put it on this angle, but I need to be driving through and having that nose down so it can flare out this way. Because as soon as I start going up and get that nose up, it's going to be too early and fading off to the right. So we're trying to find which one of these discs, for me or for you, works best for this kind of shot. So all you can really do is get out in the field and work on it and throw it and see how they do. So what I'm going to try to do on these is I'm going to try to send them out to the left as if there's a tree between me and the basket that I've got to get around, and then I've got to come back around and fight back to the basket on the inside of that tree. So now I want here, and if this disc is overstable enough, it's going to then fight back to the right. Go out, and how much fight? I would have liked for that to have a little more fight. So let's see how the Firebird does. Better. I'm still getting the nose down a little bit. Let's see about this one right here. All right. So this is what would happen in the woods. I would think I gotta get around that tree. And what I'm doing is I'm actually pulling over a little bit too nose down, a little bit too much to the right. I need to find that happy medium where I'm going out, but then giving it enough time to get around. Let's try the Fireball. Oh, well, I got nose up, and you see how overstable it is. You get nose up, you're gonna get around stuff. Remember, elevation is your friend for stability. It is the enemy of distance and speed, but good for stability. All right, let's do a better throw. Yep, and see now that's gonna fight back and give me that finish back to the right. That was nice. That was the Remix Haymaker. All right, let's see how stable this thing is. I threw that a little flat, but good fight to the end. And then finally, we're gonna use the boss. I still didn't get that all the way over, but you see how much it fought back to the right. All right, that was a good first round right out of the car. Getting distracted by random people walking behind me, but we're gonna do it again. Okay, that was one quick round to kind of get a warm up, get the arm going a little bit, figure out where my misses are, and my misses tend to be pushing out this way or diving into the ground. I'm trying to find that happy medium. All right, so I'm gonna start with the Fireball. Nice around and then fight back. Much better, much better. All right, let's try the Haymaker. Around and then fight back. Yep. The insanity. I'm worried this one doesn't have quite the fight back, but we'll see. Actually, not bad. I pushed that one a little. My line was out here instead of here, so that's why it went a little to the right. There's a Firebird. Yep. All right. One more time. Firebird. I pulled that one over a little bit more, but it's got plenty of fight back. Yep. Now the Pioneer. Oh, I got nose up on that one. You see it? Yep. All right, finally, let's do the boss. First of all, because it's a boss, it's a Halo boss, it's really overstable. I didn't give it quite enough turn this way, and so it just kind of flared out. But you can see how useful that can be. If you know how chunky and beefy a 13 speed is, you can use it for more than just throwing long shots in the wind. All right, so now that we've warmed up, let's go to the trouble spot. All right, welcome to the problem zone. This is hole number 7 at Inverness. And the thing is, from the long pro tees, if you get something up in here, it's a really great drive. But a lot of times you get in this area here because of the slope of the ground. If you get past this tree, it tends to filter here. It's a great drive, but then you're pinched off from getting up to the basket because the basket is down this fairway and to the right. But also, if you're shooting from the short tee and you catch a tree early, or you catch one of these, you can be here a lot of times. And either way, so from the short tee, this is a par 3. So if you're here, you got to get up and down for par. So you need to have this shot down. I'm here a decent bit of time, so I need to work on this shot. Same thing from the long. I find myself here, and so I need to have this dialed in. So that's where this shot comes in. If you find yourself playing your home course and you keep kind of having the same shot pop up over and over again, that's a good sign that that may be a shot you need to practice and get nailed down so you can shave off some strokes. All right, so I've got these trees right in front of me. Now, depending on, I could get a little bit farther over and I'd really have to crank it over. And here's the thing, if I needed to really crank it over and then dive harder, instead of throwing lower, I would want to throw higher. Remember, get that nose up at the end so that it flares off and falls off more. But from right here, because hey, demonstration purposes, I got the camera, the chances of me making great shots here are drastically lower as soon as I turn on that camera, but we're gonna try. So the basket is down the hill to the right here. So I've got to go up this hill, find that gap, and drop back to the right. But I can't go straight because of this tree, so I'm gonna have to flex it out here and then bring it back. Make sure you get good footing. And I would practice this shot standstill, because most of the times when you're making this scramble shot, you probably have a lot of junk around you. You're not gonna be able to get a lot behind it. So work on your standstill escape shot. All right, so now, gotta get around this tree and then flex it back. Hey, I did a thing. Let's try it again. Through the gap and then back around. Remix. Stop, haymaker time. Oh no, that's terrible. Oh, I sawed that off a little bit. That's gonna be a little early. I got cocky. I know better. All right, fireball. Around and then drop. Pioneer. Around, oh, I pulled that one out a little bit. Yeah, hit the tree, dang it. Pioneer probably doesn't have as much fight as I want it to. All right, the Insanity. Boy, that thing's a beefy Insanity. I keep expecting it to push more because it's an Insanity, and it's about like a Firebird. All right, finally the Boss. Oh, I threw it low, but I'm gonna get a skip burn. Should be okay. Let's go see how I did. Well, the first one the one that bounced off the tree here that I threw too far, the Pioneer, is here. But everything else is down here. Now, the Insanity that was a little bit too beefy for what I thought it was inside here. But then I've got the Haymaker, I've got the Fireball, I've got the Boss, I've got the Firebird here, and the other Firebird should be right over in there. I haven't found it yet. Now, the one thing you have to be aware of is on this slope, something coming in with a decent pace, a hard edge, sharp edge, may pick up and roll down there. But at least then I'm throwing up the hill for my putt shot. And with my forehand flick, I'd rather be putting uphill than downhill. So I'm not that terribly worried if I get a little bit past the basket. The fact is, I just want to be on the dance floor down here. And so that shot, practicing that shot, I had basically 6 out of 7 that were within circle 1 from back there. I like those odds. And if I can scramble my way from there to here most of the time, I'm hopefully gaining some strokes on myself and the rest of the competition because I'm there a lot. So this isn't the most sexy shot to work on, but once you get this down, when you find yourself in that situation where you need to make the shot, you go, but I've practiced it. Once again, I'm going to go back on and on about finding those holes in your game, especially your home course that you're playing, that you find yourself stuck in those positions over and over again. If you're not practicing those, you're kind of giving strokes away or hoping for luck. And we'd rather hope on skill than luck. So we practice for the chaos, and hopefully it won't come, but we're ready for it when it does. So there you go, guys. Plain and simple. If you've got certain shots that are messing with you, get out on the field, get out on those holes and practice them, and hopefully your score's gonna get lower and better. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps, inspires you a little bit. I do appreciate you taking time to watch this, leaving likes, subscriptions, comments, all that good stuff. Hey, I just opened a Patreon page. If any of y'all would be excited to do that, that would be awesome on my quest to hopefully do this more full-time in the future. I'd love for you to be part of my team, my community, and I do just really appreciate y'all coming along. And I hope, honestly, I hope to see you out on the course. Take care, guys.